BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for once again another book update and another mini book haul. So first I'm gonna update you how my reading is going. I have not picked up lately The Brothers Karamazov, but as you guys already know that I've restarted it. So I mean I've read a little bit, a tiny bit. Like we're up at the point where I think it's the oldest Dmitri. He wants his inheritance from their father, Fyodor. And, they decide to go to Father Zosima, Alyosha's mentor. And of course, Alyosha's not too keen on that. He's kind of embarrassed of his family and is worried about what Zosima's gonna think about them, but he goes along with it anyway. And I'm up at the point where they all arrive, including, I think he's the father-in-law of Fyodor's first wife, Dmitri's mother. I think he also comes too. And I gotta say, I feel like Dmitri's probably the one who's most like their father, or has the potential to become like their father. And I like how they all kind of have different each of the three brothers have very different personalities. You have Ivan, who's the intellectual one, the one that questions everything. And then you have Alyosha, who's the good, pure one, the innocent one, the loving one, the one that everybody loves. Even their own father kind of likes him better than his other sons. And that's really all that, you know. I mean, I haven't got very far. I'm gonna read a little bit more. I might read some today. We will see. But I have to work the next, you know, I'm off today and tomorrow, and today's halfway over. And then I'm working the next 3 days. I want to read a little bit either today or tomorrow if this makes a progress. What is nice is, again, it's one of those books where the chapters aren't long. I mean, I'm almost done with the first book. So it was like only a few chapters where just an introduction to the family members and their situation at hand, and then the other characters that are important to the situation, like Father Zosima. I hope I'm saying that right. And that's it. I mean, there's not much. But the father is so interesting. Like, he's such a fascinating character. Yeah, on the one hand, you hate him. You think he's a selfish ass, and I'm convinced he's a narcissist. I mean, I'm not an expert. Don't give me, don't assume. Take this with a grain of salt. But that's the vibe I get. He feels very narcissistic. But yeah, his relationship with these three boys. I mean, and it's funny how when they're all born, he kind of forgets about them. Not like because he's mad that he's stuck with these kids, these boys, but because he just doesn't care. He doesn't even remember their existence. He's just blissfully unaware. He just doesn't even think about them until, like, the time comes when he needs to acknowledge them, like right now. Which is kind of sad. I'm also currently... So this is the book I've read the most of. I mean, even then, that's not a lot. This is The Rise and Fall of Dodo. By Neal Stephenson and Nicole Galland. And I think I've seen Neal Stephenson's name before. I've looked at some of his books before. I don't know if I might have something else by him. I don't know, but so in this story, we have our main character, this woman. She is a Harvard professor, and she's writing this. It's one of those. She's looking back from her present day situation on what got her to the situation she's in. Because right away from the first page, we know that she is in London, 1851, and supposedly she might be trapped there. Or, there is a certain date she has to get back to. Before it's too late kind of thing. So she's looking back and recalling how she had met this guy, Tristan Lyons, who I think he's American. I don't know yet. And he is part of this secret government agency. And they are trying to prove that there was a time when magic is real, that magic existed. And they're kind of comparing it to science. But he can only tell her so much. In fact, when she constantly questions him about certain things, most things he said are classified, that she can't know yet. So she's frustrated and doesn't exactly trust him. And they're kind of doing all their research, and right now they just figured out the possibility that photography might be responsible for why magic has died, why magic doesn't exist anymore. And he's talking about how, maybe we should get rid of photography. Which, that's very interesting to think about, because it's like, photography, you can preserves memories of people in your life, or experiences you had. If you take a picture, a photograph will recall those. And a photograph can help people. If you have a photograph of a person, it can help you find someone. Like, whether, just for personal reasons, or like there's something happened to someone, like someone got murdered or someone's missing or something like that, then a photograph will help you find them, or at least like give you an idea of what they look like. And then there's also videos, which is another way to preserve memories, except for it's not just an instant in time, but it's also like a video tells a story, like, of a moment. You get a whole story played out, so to speak. So it'll be interesting if they're going to go any farther with that idea of getting rid of photography. And of course, we don't know yet. I mean, why she's stuck in 1851. I'll be curious to see when it gets there. I think it's probably going to be like, I imagine the book is kind of going to split. And I also got this impression from people's reviews. The book is going to be kind of split in half. Like, you're going to have the first half is them doing the research and figuring things out and get to know each other and being part of, and her trying to figure out, getting into confess things about this group. And then the second part, maybe that will be when she goes back in time, because there is time travel in this one. But I always loved the idea of magic and science being the same thing. I always thought that was such a cool concept, the idea of magic being just a kind of science. It's just a very different kind of science that maybe isn't explained or explored the same way we explore science today. So that is The Rise and Fall of Dodo. And so I'm also listening to the audiobook, Why Did They Ask Evans? And this book by Agatha Christie was brought to my attention from Katie from Books and Things. And I think she liked it. I don't remember her review, but I know she did a review, or at least talked about it. And her and her husband were doing a video where they talk about their reading Agatha Christie books. And I thought that would be, and which ones they have read, which ones they haven't read, which ones they liked and didn't like. And I'm trying to remember if they mentioned Why Did They Ask Evans yet, but like, she might have mentioned that she had already read it, but I don't know if she's actually, if her husband has listened to it. And she also talked about how listening to audiobook and Agatha Christie on audiobook is really a really great experience, and I have to say I agree. It's fun listening to her book, an Agatha Christie mystery in an audiobook. Sorry, I just got distracted because someone was honking their horn outside my window. It does reference to drugs, like one of the characters using morphine, and I think our main character Bobby gets drugged when he falls asleep and has his beer out, and I guess someone slips a drug inside of his drink, which I'm guessing has to do with the mystery. So this one, like, you have Bobby, our main character, one of our main characters. I would have to say his friend Frances. It's a girl, which, although I guess Frances can be a guy name too. And Frances, like, Bobby discovers a dead body that had fallen over a cliff on the golf course he goes to, and when he thinks and when he's left alone to kind of look out for the body and make sure no one comes along, the guy momentarily opens his eyes, like he hasn't died just yet, and says, "Why didn't they ask Evans?" And then he dies after he asks that. So Bobby, it's shocking, but he's kind of a little more, he's so surprised and shocked by it that he just kind of tries to dismiss it. And then the dead body's sister and her brother-in-law show up at the house because they find he was the one that was keeping guard of the body, and it's in the papers and everything. And they, like, claim to him. But then the event where he gets drugged happens, and then also there was, when he recalls that the guy, right before he died, he did say, "Why didn't they ask Evans?" So those two moments lead them to suspect that him are not the body waking up, but insane, posing that question. But when he tells the brother-in-law about it, he's dismissive about it. But along with him getting drugged and stuff, that's him and Frankie decide to investigate and trying to figure out what happened, because Frankie suspects that he may have been murdered. The guy was murdered. And they start investigating. They start trying to figure out the clues and determine what they could mean. They ask around the people, and it's a really, a fun mystery. And the whole time, I'm worried that what's going to happen to these characters, if they're going to be put in danger, if they're okay. Like, I mean, I feel safe with an Agatha Christie book. I feel like, like, these two they're not going to die. They might be put in danger, but I don't think they're going to die. Like, I understand, like, books like that, and then there were none. That was the point. He was, the killer was trying to take out each person one by one. So that was the point of the conflict. That was the mystery, is these people kept getting killed, and you're trying to figure out who did it, who killed them. This one is, they're trying to figure out, but they're not, they're the main, like, I don't know, I don't know how to explain it. I hope I'm explaining it right. But it's a good audio, but I'm enjoying the audiobook. I like the narrator. She has a very nice voice. And there's actually a BBC adaptation on BritBox. There's a BritBox adaptation, which I can't watch because I have BritBox. I wish I did, because there's a lot of British shows that I like, that I think I would like. They are different from ours, but they're also, like, I guess how they go about things is different from us, from our culture, even if they have similar premises to some of our shows. Anyway, okay, so that's what I'm currently reading right now. I'm almost halfway done through Why Didn't They Ask Evans? And I'm listening to it, in case you didn't get it, I am listening to it on audiobook. So let's show book haul time. So I did break my rule and got 4 books instead of 3, because today was actually a good day. I mean, good as in, like, I found a lot of books that I was interested in, that I was eager to read. Like, I feel like with, I either come across days where it's just like, I might struggle to find something that gets me excited, but I do end up finding something. And that allows me to stick to 3, because there aren't as many, books I'm super excited. But then there's days like today where there's a lot of books I find that I want to read. And that can be both good and bad. If you're trying not to get, like, 6 or 7 books, then it could potentially be bad, because then you have to make a choice. And that's why I like to read the Goodreads reviews, because it helps me narrow it down. And I know I've said before that I don't want to rely on Goodreads all the time, because there might be books I missed out on because I'm thinking, oh, these, we got all these bad reviews, or like not bad, but okay reviews, and they point out stuff that maybe I might have liked. I might have been fine with. But like I said, I use it to narrow it down, so I don't end up like 6 or 7 books. Just stick to 3 or 4 at the most. So let's show you which 4 I ended up picking out. So this is one of those infamous classics that you're made to read in school, and you either love it or you hate it. In case you've never heard of this one, this is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, and in this one you have this woman, Hester Prynne. It's set in a Puritan society, and she ends up having an affair with a married man, and I think he's like a priest or something. And sorry, I was looking at the back because I thought there was, I keep forgetting that there's not a summary on the back, it's just a quote. And she gets pregnant with his child, and she is forced, when people realize this, she is forced to wear a red letter A on her lapel to let the people know that she is an adulteress. And it's about her dealing with that and trying to raise their child on her own. And a lot of people find this boring. They don't like the writing. You were made to read in school, so you automatically can't stand it. Although I shouldn't say that, because it does feel like that at times, and that when you read this, that's when you read something for school, like it's an assigned reading, then all of a sudden you don't like it. But I shouldn't, I feel like that's not fair to assume that just because there are some assigned reading that I actually liked. And some of my college assigned reading was actually pretty fun. And one English class that I took, I got to read the Art Spiegelman's Mouse, which is a graphic novel. I remember realizing it was a graphic novel and being surprised by it. That they would let us do that. But it is a World War II story, and the father, it's, the main character is talking to his father, who is a Jewish man, and he's sharing his father's stories from when he was in Auschwitz. I think it was Auschwitz, one of the concentration camps, and his experiences. And what the author did was, not just that it's a graphic novel, but all the, the Americans and the Jews, in all the different countries involved, and the Germans, and I think also the French are involved in the story. They all are represented by animals. So I thought that was really cool. Then I got to, I was surprised when I saw it was a graphic novel, but then I read it and I figured, oh, that's probably why, because it's about World War II and the Jewish experience. And I like Fitzgerald's, what is it called? I cannot believe I'm drawing a blank here. The famous one. What is it called? I cannot remember. The Great Gatsby. We read that one. I actually like that one. I read that in high school. And, we read Their Eyes Were Watching God. I read Their Eyes Were Watching God in college, and I did like that one too. So sometimes, the assigned reading actually can be enjoyable. Some people actually like it. But sometimes it can, I do feel like there's a lot of times where it's not as beloved, and takes you, and you just have this opinion of classics later in life once you're not in school, that you just don't like them, and because it was assigned reading to you, you have very negative connotations with it, because the teachers made you study the book to death and analyze every little thing. But anyway, I wasn't sure how I feel about this book, about The Scarlet Letter. like, I debated about buying it. And it was actually, Olive from Book Olive saying that she enjoyed this. She surprisingly did like it more than she thought she would. That made me think about giving this Olive from Book Olive. And then Kaylee from Luminous Libro, she also enjoyed it. So, no, there's no guarantee that just because they enjoyed it doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy it. But, I mean, I only spent like, if I just bought this book, it would only be $4. So, I'm going to try it. And, if I end up not loving it, then I can redonate it back to them. But anyway, so that is my first one. And then we have another Edward Rutherford. This is his book on New York. I was hoping to find the Paris one, but I'm guessing the Paris one was bought. Which I'm not surprised since it's been a few days. I'm sure it was bound to be. I mean, there's a chance it might not have been, but they put it on their Instagram, so I'm sure there was someone that just saw and was like, "Oh, I want to buy that." Someone else other than me. But this is his book on New York, and the good news it's paperback. Like the other ones that were there were not paperback. And I try to, especially with thicker books like this, I try to stick to paperbacks. I mean, not always, but like if I'm ever, that's what I should make my rule from now on. Then if it's a hardback, don't like with hardbacks. If it's a thinner book, not a super huge book, then yeah, I can get the paperback version. I mean the hardback, like Ride, the book I just bought on Paul Revere's Midnight Ride and everything. That's a thin book, so that's not as much of weight. I mean, it still weighs a little bit, obviously, but it doesn't weigh as much. Like, if it was a book like this size, then yeah, it would definitely be a big boy. Like some of Stephen King's books. That's why I constantly go back and forth. If I want to keep those and just buy paperback versions. I mean, I keep looking at Sleeping Beauties and buying the paperback one of that one. But, so this is New York. Let me go ahead and read the back of this one. Edward Rutherford celebrates America's greatest city in a rich, engrossing saga, weaving together tales of families rich and poor, native-born and immigrant. A cast of fictional and true characters whose fates rise and fall and rise again with the city's fortunes. From this intimate perspective, we see New York's humble beginnings as a tiny Indian fishing village, the arrival of Dutch, British merchants, the Revolutionary War, the emergence of the city as a great trading and financial center, the convulsions of the Civil War, the excesses of the Gilded Age, the exploration of immigration in the late 19th and early 20th century, the trials of World War II, the near demise of New York in the 1970s, and its roaring rebirth in the 1990s, and the attack on World Trade Center. Oh wow, so this goes all the way up to 9/11. Let's see, when was this particular one published? What's the copyright date for this one? So 2009. So I'm trying to think when that happened, when 9/11 happened. I think it was early 2000s when it happened. But yeah, so he writes, the lives of the peoples in these countries. Like, I'm guessing his book on China will do the same thing, will be about these different people, different families, and different characters in China at the time, throughout its history. But this would actually be great for, summer reading, especially in July. But I still gotta continue with his, Princes of Ireland. I gotta get back to that one before I read New York. But anyway, so these are my 2 fiction books that I bought. And then we have 2 non-fictions. So first we have this one I saw in the vault. The vault contains just history books. It's and science books, different like nonfiction. There's a separate section for biographies. Although the biographies used to be in the vault, but then they moved it to where they originally kept the classics, and moved the classics to one of the shelves in the middle. But this is Elizabeth I collected works, which I did not know she was a writer, that she wrote a lot. But I guess not. I shouldn't be surprised because she's probably, very educated. So this long-awaited and masterfully edited volume contains nearly all of the writings of Queen Elizabeth I, from the clumsy letters of childhood to the prayers and poetry of the monarch's later years. The first collection of its kind, Elizabeth I reveals brilliance on two accounts: that of the Queen, a dazzling writer, and that of editors whose copious annotations make the book both accessible and essential. So I thought this would be really cool. I mean, I would have loved a biography too, but I feel like this really is really cool. The idea of the letters, someone's writing. Like, in a way, people's writing can also be a biography on the person. And this is not the only book I have that are someone's. I have quite a few now of people's letters and writings. Like, I have the one of letters between John and Abigail Adams. I have the letters of Tolkien. And I have Van Gogh's letters as well. So I have quite a few books that are people's other writings. So this will be really cool to go through. Okay, and then we have, last but not least, is a biography of Washington by Douglas Southall Freeman. And it is an abridged work because there are 7 volumes. So, I mean, it's pretty good. Looks pretty good, hefty size anyway, even if not all volumes. So I wonder how big, like, I guess all the volumes are probably all this size. Might potentially be all this size. Okay, so we have Washington is the most complete, definitive, 1-volume biography of George Washington ever written. In 1948, renowned biographer and military historian Douglas Southall Freeman won his 2nd Pulitzer Prize for his new and dramatic re-examination of George Washington. For years, biographies had gone from idolatry to muckraking in their depictions of the somewhat marbleized founding father. Freeman's new interpretation was a fresh step, making Washington a living, breathing individual, flawed but heroic. An able commander who defeated the British Army against incredible odds, Washington proved to be just as adept at wielding political power and adroitly steered our new loosely called nation through the first stormy years of our unproven federal stewardship. The first 2 presidential administrations, here with an introduction by Pulitzer Prize winner Michael Kamen, who puts the writing and publication of Washington in perspective, and an afterword by Pulitzer Prize winner Dumas Malone, who explains the travails of Freeman's grinding work. Washington is the most comprehensive biography available, and its value as an important classic has never been more evident. So now I have a biography on Jefferson. I have the John Adams biography, the David McCullough one, and I would like the other one, John Adams' Life. I'd like to get that one. We have one on Ben Franklin, and I have one on Madison. And I have the Hamilton biography by Charnow on audiobook. And I think I have considered the possibility of reading, like, a lot of the presidents, at least up until a certain point, reading biographies of, like, that could be a potential project, but that would be more of over the years. But I'm starting with the ones that are involved in the French Revolution, in the American Revolution, including Hamilton. But I actually have 2 books on Jefferson and a couple books on the Addams Family. But unfortunately, one of my books on Jefferson, the middle section that has all the pictures in it is falling out of the book, which is really annoying because I'm gonna always be worrying about like keeping the pages in there, because one of the pages with the pictures on the other side is, words for for the book and stuff. So I have to make sure I keep that in there. But anyway, so that is how my current reading update and my book haul. As always, I'm always curious to know what you guys are reading right now, and I hope I hope you're reading a good book and having a good day. All right, bye.